It appears the DNC is back up to its old tricks. Now, over the weekend, DNC Chairman Tom Perez had released his nominations for the 2020 Democratic National Convention committees. And boy, are they stacked against progressives. So now, the list of nominees has been described as a who's who of people that are basically looking to stop the progressive agenda. So now, I got to give big credit here to Kevin Gosztola. He is the managing editor of Shadowproof, who first shared this on a Twitter thread and kind of broke it down. Gostola's Twitter thread delved into the backgrounds of a number of these candidates, including Bakari Sellers. Now, Bakari Sellers is nominated to sit on the platform committee, and he is no friend of progressives. In fact, Sellers had drafted a letter and spearheaded an effort in 2016 to ensure the DNC platform did not adopt language Bernie Sanders supported, which would have acknowledged responsibility to confront the humanitarian crisis facing Palestinians in Gaza. So now look, there is a humanitarian crisis in that area, and these people are basically living in an open air prison. So that is a humanitarian crisis. And when you want to point that out in the platform, oh no, we can't do that. No. We get paid by lobbyists from AIPAC. So we can't mention anything, right? Well, now, wait a minute, though. Here's the thing. And there's a lot of people that will come after me or that come after progressives that points this out and say there is a problem with humanitarian rights here from the right-wing government of Israel. Well, they point out and say, well, that's anti-Semitic. Well, now, here you are going against Bernie Sanders, who is Jewish, by the way. He would be the first Jewish president in America, in the country, saying, hey, you know what? We actually also, yes, we care about Israeli lives, obviously, but we also need to care about Palestinian lives as well. And so, no, people like Sellers are like, nope, not at all interested. Nope, we're not gonna go in that direction. Now, there's more here. Carol Browner was also on the list for platform committee as well. Now, Browner was a Clinton delegate, and during the 2016 platform drafting committee meeting, voted against a ban on fracking, Medicare for all, opposing the Trans-Pacific Partnership, keeping fossil fuels in the ground, and a measure to halt the abuse of eminent domain by the fossil fuel industry, Gosztola writes. Perez also nominated former Congressman Barney Frank to be the co-chair of the Rules Committee. Barney Frank. Really? Now, Barney Frank has argued in favor of more money in politics, by the way. And he says, oh, no, we shouldn't unilaterally disarm against Republicans. Would you rather have the banks giving, and corporations giving Republicans all the money or just giving us some of the money? I mean, and he's literally making that as an argument so that we should take more money from corporations as Democrats. That's who Barney Frank is, right? And by the way, he's against the Green New Deal and sits on the board of Signature Bank in New York. Yeah, okay. Now, by the way, a New York Times report showed that this bank was a go-to lender for Donald Trump's family as well as Jared Kushner's family. And so, congratulations, Barney Frank, right, for getting such a plum position. Now, Frank also penned a 2015 op-ed entitled, Why Progressives Shouldn't Support Bernie. Well, what the hell would Barney Frank know about progressives? He's 100% owned by the banks. He literally works for them. Gets paid for them. Now, on this list also, and this is amazing, there's completely shameless. John Podesta is on this list. You know, the Podesta emails. Yeah. In fact, in those emails, he said that they needed to make sure that, quote, Bernie Sanders is ground to a pulp and had asked, where would you stick the knife in? That's egregious to have this guy on the Rules Committee, right? There's more. Alex Padilla, also been named vice chair of the Platform Committee. Padilla had refused to count 2 million votes in the 2016 California primary, which, of course, was extremely detrimental to Bernie Sanders. Even though he had lost before then, California, in a lot of people's minds, was, a possible win in California would have possibly made this a contested convention. And so that's interesting. Now, Dennis McDonough is on the platform committee as well as co-chair and was also Obama's chief of staff during the second term. He also chairs Rework America Task Force, which launched Rework America Business Network with Heidi Capozzi, Senior Vice President of Human Resources at Boeing. Oh, so of course they're going to be totally against, giving Boeing more government contracts, right? If a Democrat gets in office. Now, Vice Chair of the Platform Committee pick, Danielle Gray, is also a former Obama staffer, who is the Senior Vice President, Chief Legal Officer, and Corporate Secretary for Blue Cross Blue Shield of North Carolina. So obviously she would be completely impartial when it comes to adopting Medicare for all, right? I mean, it wouldn't have all affect her job, would it? Oh, right. Yeah, it probably would. On and on, right? These are a group of people who aren't remotely progressive and would actively fight against a progressive agenda. So they will not support things like getting money out of politics, Medicare for all, student debt cancellation, wouldn't support things like less endless warfare. Hell, there's one pick that's straight up a lobbyist. And there's probably more than one. So now let me give you some social media responses to this. Beth, purity test enthusiast, says this: it's a verifiable who's who of the Bernie-hating world, especially people like Bakari Sellers. Massive Bernie hater. Maria Bell says, stacking the deck. Charles Deserves to Live says, this is right wing as he could go without going outside the party. This is like a Stop Bernie committee, which, by the way, it wouldn't be the first one because they literally had one already. Democratic Party officials, even some Democratic candidates like Pete Buttigieg, were at meetings where they plotted to stop Bernie Sanders from winning the nomination. So it's not a shocker at all that this would happen. And finally, Stephen P.H. says, if another candidate can't stop Bernie, the media will try. If that fails, then it's Hillary's term. That failed. So now they hope Obama can stop him. If all those can't stop him, the last resort is to broker the convention and allow the superdelegates to pick whoever they want. Look, the first round superdelegates had been neutered thanks to the DNC platform back in 2016. But there's a general fear of a contested convention, which could steal the nomination from Bernie Sanders if he doesn't get a clear majority of the votes. So that's definitely a worry, along with some of these disastrous picks. They're going to, of course, for sure, do whatever they can to fight progressive policy, as well as try to nominate a corporatist. Now, we can't let that happen. And I think this is great that this comes out and that people are paying attention to this. And, I think the best disinfectant right here to these obviously disastrous picks is daylight. So I'm going to ask you, share this around everywhere. Show the voters, let them know that the DNC is not being an honest actor. They're being dishonest, and they seem to be back up to their old corporate tricks. Hey guys, hopefully you enjoyed that free video. Now I'm going to have to ask you a favor. Between the demonetization and the YouTube algorithm messing around with view counts, etc., we're having a hard time adjusting to the new YouTube reality, which is where you guys come in. See, we have a Patreon, patreon.com/TYTNation, set up to help us rely on you guys, the viewers, instead of big corporate ads. Look, you know the show. You know how I'm not in favor of big corporations anyway. So help us transition away from relying on the ad model to pay the bills and sign up to be a patron, patreon.com/TYTNation. That goes a long way to help us keep the lights on. And you guys will know that you're supporting independent progressive media.